Hello everyone, it's Nytbelle, and we're going right back into Roman Surface. Last time we met some of the characters here and we had a little bit of a fireside chat. This time, let's see what we can do before going to bed. Let's hop right on into it. Is there anything else to do tonight? Let's talk to Elegant. I want to talk more with Elegant. She's very interesting. Before I can move, Elegant moved the chair to get closer. Actually, the puzzle is not yet complete. Isn't it? Whether it's the murderer, the motive, or the method of committing the crime, they're all solved. Is there something else? Of course. The judgment. That doesn't matter, does it? Detectives can use their authority to influence the outcome of the case. For example, if it was intentional homicide, negligent homicide, or just an unfortunate accident. What the detective says will, in the end, determine the judgment. You're wrong. Every detective that earns this position will swear his loyalty to the truth. And that truth is also determined by the detective, is it not? For example, in this case, do you believe that they killed the Miller by accident, or did they kill the Miller intentionally? What if they just wanted to intimidate the Miller into canceling the engagement? What's your judgment? If I were the detective, I would tell the villagers. Now, with these kids, I get it. I mean, it's hard to love someone and not be able to be with them, not because they don't love you back, but because your family's against it. It's really hard, but at the end of the day, they did end up ending a life. They killed someone, so even though this could technically be accidental, and the daughter definitely was crying about it, they were both still implicated. They were both still planned and worked this through. Like this was still homicide. I would say it's murder. Is that not too arbitrary? Their aim is to stop the engagement, which is not enough to kill for. I think it's enough. Killing isn't something that needs special reason. Even the most trivial things can drive someone to kill. Besides, the way they committed the crime, I'd think they just failed their original plan and chose another way. I agree. Perhaps. I finished the rest of my beer. Oh, great detective, you can really drink a lot. It's not like I'm downing liquor. It doesn't matter if I have a cup or two. I pointed to the cider that she'd only had a sip from in front of her. After hearing your reasoning just now, it is definitely not something a drunkard could come up with. Then I'll take that as a compliment. And by the way, quick tip for you. I approached her and said, your clothes look a bit out of place in a tavern. Everyone's going to notice a teetotaling nun in the middle of a group of drunks. If you're planning to stay here, I'm afraid you'll just end up scaring away the target of your investigation. I see, an amateur mistake on my part. Elegant hesitated for a while, then turned to look at me. Thank you for reminding me. You're welcome. So it turned out that you really are investigating something here. I guess I'm right. You're not entirely wrong, but now it is too late to change my clothes. I have to think about how to play this afterward. Elegant, who had been confident till now, seemed to become nervous as she gazed at the reflection in her mug. When you have a moment, I'd like to find some time to hear what you're actually doing here. It's late. I'm going to bed. Good night. I said goodbye to Elegant and went upstairs to my room. My room was the first on the right. Unsurprisingly, Sarzan had already cleaned the guest rooms impeccably. So, yeah. In the beginning, I'm sorry, guys. Like, I just kept calling Sarzan Sarn. So you're going to probably hear me go back and forth between Sarzan and Sarn. Sorry about that. Maybe I was too drunk. I kicked off my boots and flopped into bed, almost dreaming when I touched the pillow. One black sheep? Bah? Sharpening Kanifi. In my dreams, I could hear a voice coming from downstairs. The sound reverberated through the empty hall, as if I were lying in the cradle when I was a child, hearing my mother hum an unknown lullaby. But the tune of the music had a kind of disharmony that was distinctly sinister. Sort of like when you open your eyes only to find your cradle dangling off the edge of the cliff. The strange midnight music was unsettling, like something dark and ominous was about to spring out of the shadows and grab me. Do you want to go downstairs and have a look? Now, if it was me, okay, if this was me back then in a tavern like this, and I was a big, strong, muscular wolf man, I think I would have to do my best to go and find out what's going on. Because there are other people around, and who knows what could be downstairs, you know? Especially if it's unsettling. You want to know. Let's get downstairs and have a look. It's a little creepy, but it's not good to just ignore it. Plus, you won't be able to sleep. Can't sleep anyway, yeah. I climbed out of bed and took my dagger out of the inner pocket of my coat, moving carefully with a dagger behind my back. That's not safe. I slowly cracked the door open. Fortunately, the cheap old butt Sarzan didn't forget to oil the hinges. The door opened without making a sound. I crept bare-pawed down the stairs, holding the handrail as I slowly descended. My footpads gently fell on the carpet of the stairs. Fortunately, it seemed that whoever was downstairs hadn't noticed me, and the music continued. There were no lanterns or candles lit downstairs. The only light came from the wavering flames of the fireplace, and my shadow danced on the wall as I went. I clenched the dagger behind my back and slipped down the last few steps. There was a familiar shadow in the chair in front of the fireplace. That's probably someone I know. How do I do this? Stay still or forestall. I don't know what this means by staying still and forestalling, but like if it's someone there, I would probably personally stay where I am and like watch them for a bit before I go out and be like and make myself known or even go closer. So I would stay where I am and watch them. But I wouldn't call out, dude. Hey. I clenched the dagger in case the shadow suddenly attacked me. Shadow's not going to attack you. Oh, terribly sorry. I did try not to play too loudly. Sandbox. Look at him. He's a shifty eye. You scared the heck out of me. I thought some maniac had snuck in the middle of the night. Ding. A murderer being announced by a musical cue only happens in the theater, detective. Since when did you get enough spare money to go see a play? Alas, if I didn't... Alas, I don't. If I did, I would have rented a room to myself. Sarzan makes such a racket when he sleeps that sharing the same room with him is more uncomfortable than sharing a bed with my parents. Oof. Says the dragon, who's practicing his lute at midnight. I pity any roommate you have. It's not that. I just remembered something and couldn't sleep. He fell back on his chair and looked up at the ceiling. Feel like talking about it? Anzox opened his mouth as though, to disagree, but stopped before he could utter a syllable. I can't sleep anyway. Would you care to listen to my newest composition? I could use some feedback. Bruh. It was less of a request and more of a non-negotiable statement, like a shopkeeper announcing he was closed. Okay. If nothing else, it'll be more enthralling than snooping around and spying on people. Better to hear a good story instead, I think. Anzox clears his throat again and begins to speak. As the king awoke in the comfort of his soft bed in his country estate, his only thought was to slay the dragon. Taking neither servant nor soldier, he hurriedly raced to the ancient capital of his kingdom. As he entered the stately halls of his palace, he drew his sword and approached the throne. The dragon sneered down upon the king, its scaled coils encircling the stolen throne. The king could not help but tremble, but did not flee. With a mighty shout, the king lunged with his sword, but the blade was deflected on instinct. He had lost his balance and fallen to the throne. He cursed his weakness and the poison that ate him. The great thief that sat upon the throne glared down upon him with contempt in his eyes. If only he had not supped at that accursed banquet. He knelt and tried to support himself. The king, in his sorrow, regretted his failure to see through such a falsehood. Perhaps he should not have trusted anyone from Dguk, that country of thorns and poison, where every person from the paupers to the princes were villains. In fact, even before he drew his sword, he knew he could not hurt the guy. No dragon could harm someone who had been served the tears of envy the third. I don't know what this is. It was like an instinct, no, like a too-tight harness. Using his sword like a crutch to support his body, the king limped out of the palace. A poison that manipulated the mind could only confound the mind of one person, but no one can truly deceive the people. The old king staggered away toward the border of his kingdom, and behind him followed the citizens of Draconia. Alright, that's it. Last I checked, Anzox, everyone loves hearing stories about justice and victory. I'm not sure this one's going to sell. Also, this one doesn't really makes sense. It's like you've been plopped into the middle of it, but there's no end and no beginning. I'd like to change it to a happy ending, but for some reason, every time I attempt to change it, I'm interrupted by some distracting trifle. The quill will break, or the ink pot will run low, or I'm informed that dinner is ready, or it's nearly dawn and you haven't actually slept. Oh, we both yawned at the same time. Perhaps I should retire for the night. Good night. We went back to our respective rooms. Day 2, the 24th of December, 1285. Christmas Eve. For the rest of the night, I slept comfortably and dreamlessly. The first day of my holiday! Looks like I get to spend my Christmas holiday with a half-mad bard and a mysterious adventure in a tavern in the middle of nowhere. Hey, sounds like fun. And eat nothing but vegetarian dishes all day long. Oof. Truly, such extravagance would make even the Pope himself jealous. There was a thick layer of snow on the windowsill, but it was sunny outside. I held the handrail of the stairs and went down slowly. I could hear the sound of wooden cups knocking on tables from the hall, and the smell of barley spread through the fire-warmed air. Ooh, lots of people. Okay. Okay. Oh, boy. Sure enough, more guests came as soon as it was sunny. Okay, so there's a shark dude. Okay, question, how is he out here? Like he's by in a fireplace, right? Like, would he not dry out? Also, he's got gills, and I'm not sure if you guys knew this, but, like, sharks use ram ventilation. So they actually, like, swim around with their mouths open to push air from their mouths to their gills, and that's how they get their oxygen. How is he not dead? Is my question. I don't know what kind of... I guess he needs his own voice, too. Okay. Finally up, eh? God, it must be nice having a cushy smart guy job where you don't have to wake up before dawn. Oh, come on, I only get to sleep late during the holidays. I scratched my disheveled hair a few times. Brett, you went down without, like, getting ready? I would not do that, no. Especially, like, when you're somewhere public or somewhere that, like, as soon as you open your door, it's public. Like, get yourself presentable. Roman. Yanis, why are you here so early? The dock's completely frozen. It's either be bored at home or come drinking at the tavern. Bunk. He reached out and clasped hands with me, squeezing tight. Now, he doesn't look like it, but in our world, sharks have, essentially, like, skin like sandpaper. It actually has, like, what is considered teeth on it. Ouchie. Urgh, what the heck? I still need that hand, you know. Oh no. Maybe you should exercise more. How are you gonna catch Maybe you should exercise more. How are you gonna catch criminals who can't even take a handshake? Oh, so it's just like the strength of his hand. Bunk. Yanis clapped me on the shoulder as he spoke. Easy. I'm just messing with you. So are you gonna stay here during the Christmas holiday? I figured someone like you would go on a trip or something. Ow. Well, I can't travel with these injuries. I think you broke something important. Maybe I should put you out of your misery. Maybe I should put you out of your misery then. No thanks. If you pat me to death, you'll just ruin Sarzen's business. Yanis grinned and raised a hand just as Sarzen poked his head out of the kitchen. Sarzen. Remember, Yanis, if you keep messing around, I'll throw you out. Not everyone here is as big, as buff, and tough as you, sailor. For example, Peter. Oh, he needs a voice. Hey, don't look down on me. Peter slapped his hands on the table and stood up. But it's true. I mean, I've never seen Yanis lay a finger on you. Well, that's because he knows he can't mess with me. Really? Want to take me on, Fluffy? No. I don't want to end up losing control and breaking you in half. Looks more scared. But psh, either do it or shut up. Well, it's not like my body's weaker than yours. Alright, there are some things that don't have to be forced. Ugh, why must different races be so different? And that's what makes you special. He gets to be a big, scary shark man, and you get to be a cute bunny rabbit. At least everyone's the same in the legal sense. What's the use? Arms. I don't need to deal with criminals every day like you. The law is unequal, and it is my business. Besides, what else is in the same in the legal sense? Sergeant says booze money and room charges. Those aren't even legally mandated. That's just you being opportunist. Speaking of opportunities, hey, Kane, did you find another job yet? He's a little oxy boy. Well, a few days ago, the cook at this small restaurant nearby quit because of the low salary. I figured I'd go and try my luck. Interesting to cut this little. I mean, it's a long shot, given how many times I've been canned in the past. Maybe try and get a hold of your temper. No one will dare hire you if you have another attack. So he's like a bull in a china shop. If you control your temper, perhaps Sarsen would hire you as a kitchen assistant in the busy season. Look, if keeping my temper was as easy as you said, then I wouldn't have gotten kicked out of so many. It's okay, nobody in this world is perfect. I better comfort it a bit, or he'll just end up blowing up later. I just want everything to go smoothly this time. King started to drink alone. Seems that everyone hasn't changed much. It's the same as last year when I couldn't get a case and spent a lot of time in taverns. Ah, the good old days. Sure, being broke and staring at an empty wallet hurt, but in the company of my friends, life didn't seem to be so sad. What should I do now? Let's talk to people. Maybe I should get a couple. I guess not. Maybe I should get a cup of ale to soothe my throat before I start talking too much. Well, let's go to the kitchen and find my boy. I raised the board that separated the counter and hall and squeezed through the narrow passage. Sometimes I wonder how Sarzen can cram himself into such a small space, and the little Chinese writing on the... It's really cute. I poked my head through the curtain. Sarzen was washing the dishes, but stopped and turned to me. Hey, Sarzen, got any booze? It's early in the morning. I'd be like, can I have tea or coffee or something? Sarzen, what's the matter, Roman? Ooh. Okay, ale first. Excuse me. I'm a bit thirsty after chatting all morning. Mind if I help myself to some ale? Okay, just remember to turn off the tap. I took out a mug from under the counter and slipped into the cellar. After filling my mug, I took a sip and considered my next course of action. Ah, ale, the lubricant of both minds and tongues. Okay. I raised the board, blah, blah, went back into the kitchen. He was cleaning the dishes. Tell me about Elegant. Elegant's still staying here, right? I wonder which room is hers. The third room on the right. Thanks. Thanks for telling me right away where someone stays, I guess. Okay, bye. See what happens in the toilet. Yes, go to the restroom and comb your hair. Good job. I wet my hands, posed for a better angle, and combed my hair carefully in the mirror. Now I'm pretty... Oh, fluffy boy! Falling gray hairs fluttered down like snow from my scalp, eventually landing in the wash basin. Shedding season had already passed, obviously. Even those failing hairs had regrown in the winter. Maybe I should take better care of myself next time I get busy. The last thing I need is to look horrible in front of clients. Actually, I think, like, the stress-related thing, that's, like, across species. Like, you guys out there, too, if you find that you're losing hair, even before you start losing hair, mind your stress levels. Like, be good to each other and take care of yourselves, too. And, you know, if no one else cares, I do. I want all of you to be happy and healthy and, you know, as unstressed as possible. For your own sakes. Back to the hall, then. Let's continue to chat in the lobby. Let's talk. Who am I talking to? Well, let's just go down the list, I guess. Anzox. I sat by Anzox and held my cup. Anzox's eyes were bloodshot, and he didn't say a word to me. Seems that he hasn't gotten out of last night's mood. Oh, Anzox. You're so sad. Oh. His head dropped slowly. Slowly. Bye, Anzox. And it thumped against the tabletop. Oh, looks like sleep deprivation to me. Did he get any sleep last night? And socks? I slowly reached for the loot he was holding. Don't touch it! Yeah, exactly. Do not touch other people's things without their permission. And specifically a musician's instrument. Those things are one, super important to them, and two, usually, like, really expensive. So, no touchy. Yeah! When my paw touched the instrument, Anzac jerked to life with a screech. In response, Sarzan suddenly ran out of the kitchen with a half-cleaned pan in his grip. It's just Anzacs again. Shout for me if something important actually happens. Oh, you scared me half to death. Roman, don't just go touching my loot without asking. I didn't know you'd react like that. It was so close. We were both gonna be thrown out. What's the matter? But elegant? What do you think about elegant? Well, she doesn't seem fond of idle chit-chat. Yeah. And since when did none show up in taverns? Maybe she's looking for wayward souls to shame or something. I'm pretty sure that if you are a member of the clergy, that's like the opposite of what you're supposed to be doing. You know, like if you just go off like shaming people, you're less likely to make them want to join you, you know? Could it be Anzox might know why Elegant? Maybe Sarzan asked her to come over and sing Christmas carols. I don't think so. Never mind. Any new songs? Come up with any new songs recently? Anzox. Yeah, I just said that. Yeah. Twitches his ear. Oh, that's it. It sounds good. Silver seat, please. You're greedier than Sarzan. Alright, well, there's not much else. Okay. Bye. Nothing special. Well, you're welcome to take a seat and have a drink with me. Who am I talking to? Peter. Little Peter Rabbit, do you have a flea on your nose? Mm-hmm. Sat across Peter at his table. He looked up at me. Roman, do you think there's such a thing as true fairness? Still struggling with the same problem, eh? Compared to a lot of places in the world, Apollyon is pretty fair. Where else would you see so many different species being friendly in the same tavern? This place is the exception, not the rule. There are dozens of restaurants and taverns in the capital which only serve meat-eating mammals. Okay. Although it's forbidden by law, they always have ways to avoid it. They has told inspectors that Wonder of Wonders there's no herbivore customers that day, or the day special just happens to be grilled veal. You know, most of the inspectors are carnivores too. So even if the reasons are just bold-faced lies, they can get away with it. There's so many injustices in life, why we pretend not to see them? Okay, here's the thing. A carnivore who starts a restaurant is more likely to cater to his own wants when it comes to food than a vegetarian would. Now, not to say that there shouldn't be any vegetarian-only restaurants. Not to say that there shouldn't be only meat-only restaurants. And also not to say that there shouldn't be restaurants that do both. It just means find the place that works best for you. I'm sure there are some, and it's really easy to see the injustices in life when all you see are the negatives. Like, say you're a vegetarian and all you see are these restaurants that serve meat. Well, what about the restaurants that also serve vegetarian options? What about the restaurants that, even though they serve just vegetarians, therefore exclude their carnivore clientele, you know? And yes, of course there are injustices in this world, but sometimes it's easier to work around it and find the silver lining than it is to just make yourself out to be a victim, right? If there isn't any vegetarian-only restaurant, then you start one. Or if there isn't any restaurant that caters to vegetarians or vegans, you start one, or you find someone that can help you, or someone that wants to do it and back them, right? And this is just me going, I'll be the change you want to be, but this is also me going, I'll be the change you want to see, you know? Apollion's still young and things take time. Not everyone has time to wait. Who am I talking to? Alright, Peter. What else you got? He's in one of his serious moods today. Maybe I'll sit somewhere else. Okay. Yanis, Buff Shark Man. I took my mug and sat opposite of Yanis. Before you start, I'll pass on the shoulder smack. Yeah, oh, Yanis, outstanding, took his hand back in slowly and scratched his hand embarrassingly. Oh, no, you can smack my back. You can do it. Don't worry. You'll just have to deal with me when I cry later. Ah, sorry, old habits and such. It's just a friendly greeting is all. That's one way to put it, I guess. Looking to chat with something. Probably about life by the sea. I'm a little curious about how life by the sea is like. Life by the sea has nothing special. You know how most folks like you visit the sea on holiday? It's kind of the opposite for us. It's nice to get someplace far away from the brine and constant motion. Oh my gosh, you're right. The brine. Sea folk are so used to seeing the terrifying waves of the sea. I don't know what happened to that accent there. It's kind of relaxing to enjoy the inland life for a while. After all, it's not like the earth will rise up out of the blue and swallow your house and everyone in it. That's not impossible. Have you heard of earthquakes? Seas like that all the time, and earthquakes happen only every so often. Aren't you a big tough sailor? Why do you fear the waves so much? Everyone should fear the waves. Everyone should fear the ocean. It's unstoppable, and it's unbeatable. You do your best, but the ocean will always get you. Always. The expression on Yanis' face froze suddenly. You don't understand. I understand, Yanis. I get you. Looking to chat or something? Why not seaside taverns? Aren't you satisfied with the taverns near the dock? So I come all the way to the White Star instead. Have you been to those taverns over there? I came in and had a look when I was handling a case. Then you saw the fish hooks and the fishing nets they like to hang on the back wall behind the counter. You're scared of fish hooks? You'd be too if you were a shark. Yes. Chat? I think that's it. That's all. Seems like you didn't drink enough, so you ran out of talking material, eh? I would have fun talking to Giannis. He sounds like fun. Who are you talking to? Talk to Giannis. Let's see, Kane. Took my mug and sat down opposite of Kane. I looked like Kane didn't notice me as he scooped up a spoonful of stew and watched it dribble back into the bowl. I can't blame Sarzen. What? Stopping his hands, Kane looked up to me. Nothing, I just feel Sarzen's cooking skill. I don't think it's not bad. Indeed, this vegetable stew is excellent by the standards of a carnivore. Other carnivores won't taste anything weird. I don't want to sound like an herbivore supremacist or anything. This looks angry, but I still think that it's better to leave cooking vegetable dishes to people like us. Vegetarians, I mean? That's true. So like you get someone who cooks and eats only, like, say, meat dishes. They're going to be really good at cooking and eating meat dishes. You make them cook something that's, like, vegetarian, they're not going to be that good. They're going to be terrible, probably, because they have no idea what they're doing. But you get someone who cooks a little bit of both, but they prefer one type of cuisine over another, they're still not going to be the best. But you get someone who cooks that other thing that they're lacking in, perfect, you know? I can almost hear the radishes in this stew screaming from the mistreatment. I'm not gonna mention his mood when he cooks beef. It's probably when he looks upset. Also, like, I'm pretty sure in this world they have, like, four-legged animals and things. Like you've got, like, the furry creatures, and then you've got, like, the livestock, you know? I'm not gonna mention it. Maybe this line of questioning is a bit dangerous. Who am I talking to? Stop chatting. Let's go upstairs. Let's check out the corridor. There's no one in the corridor. Well, I mean, there is the attic. I could take a look at it. Where is it? Here it is. The attic was Sarzen's room, although Anzox was also living there temporarily. There aren't any stairs between the third floor and the attic, only a ladder that went up and down. The ladder was usually pulled up into the attic, but you could use the rope connected to the top of the ladder by a pulley to bring it down. The rope, which was set between the second and third room on the left, dangled loosely. The ladder would drop down if someone pulled on the rope in order to go upstairs. I really shouldn't enter Sarzen's room without permission. It's true. Let's see what Elgin's up to. I knocked on the door of the third room on the right. Who is it? It's me, Roman. Is there something the matter? I'll talk to you. Why were you disguising yourself? Just wanted to ask a quick question. Hey. Gallian opened the door and stood there looking at me expectantly. Her hand didn't leave the doorknob. I wanted to know why you dressed like that, I asked in a low voice. Do you wonder about the reason which I dressed like this? Or are you questioning the motive? Right, that's the exact same thing. English. Why not both? Elegant stepped away a bit, leaving enough room for me to squeeze through the door sideways. Not sure if I should try. Her body language and expression suggested she wasn't looking for company. Would you rather stand at my door and speak? You are aware of the recent arrivals downstairs, are you not? She moved back again further. I slipped into the room and she shut the door behind me. They're regulars here, decent people. You don't need to be worried about them. They may be decent individuals in this place, but that does not mean they are so outside of it. That's true. What you are somewhere doesn't mean you're that way all the time. You have already seen through my disguise, so I feel no need to hide. The same cannot be said about them. As of this moment, the only ones I trust are Sarzen and you. Ah, I didn't realize that was included. It's an honor. Given your relationship with Sarzen, I can trust you, for now. I'd make for an excellent ally. There's no great reason why I'm here. I got a big job in the last tavern. I don't suppose you'd be willing to share next time. Only if you only if you accept a 90-10 split for the fee. Do I get the 90? No, you don't. Elegant cleared her throat and continued. Are you familiar with the Cathedral of St. Isaac? No, absolutely I'm not. No. What's that? A cathedral under the Rimph diocese, so it's in Rimph. The old, I guess the old capital of Apollyon. Currently under construction in the capital. Yeah, okay. 12 years ago, there was a disaster when one of the central pillars collapsed. The noble brothers who were supervising the construction site, the elder is called Brando. Is that a JoJo reference? And the younger's name is Jonathan. That was a JoJo reference. Were buried under the rubble. According to the reports of one of the junior clergy to the local abbot, the collapse was caused by the brothers who had lined their pockets by using substandard materials and cheating the workers. So the story proved to be the perfect tool to persuade others to donate. After all, everyone fears the punishment of God. Here's the thing though, when you donate to a church, you're not supposed to do it because you fear God. You're supposed to do it because you love the church, you know? Don't do something supposedly, quote unquote good if it's not coming from a place of goodness, it's not coming from your heart. There are a lot of people out there that'll just donate to charities just because they look good on them, but not because they actually want to. I mean, yeah, at the end of the day, a charity's getting something good out of it, but in this case, she's talking about how, that's gonna save people from the wrath of God. I don't think that's the way it works. At least that's just me. People are willing to give up anything so long as they avoid the flames of hell. Yeah, same thing here. Pretty sure that, I don't know who said this or where it's from, but I have this thing in my head about where someone at some point told me that, a camel will go through the eye of a needle before a rich man gets into heaven, and it's more like giving up stuff or material possessions is not going to be what gets you to quote-unquote heaven. It's not going to be what proves that you're worthy of goodness in life. According to the reports of one of the junior clergy to the local abbot, the collapse was caused by the brothers. Oh yeah, we saw this part. So I'm guessing you were hired to investigate further? Yes. Now that I have settled in, I plan to insinuate myself, okay, into the cathedral. Your client didn't tell you to come to the White Star, did they? Of course. Travelers and mercenaries tend to stop in at taverns such as these as they travel. You know as well as I that the tavern rumor mill is still awash with contacts and ways to exchange information. This is true. But why spend so much money investigating a closed case about something involving the church? Yeah, like, if you know what happened and they all died anyway, like, what's the point? That is neither my problem nor my concern. Take the job, perform the job, take the payment. Anything else is immaterial. I do not concern myself with any secrets my clients may have. Okay. Elegant turned and opened the door. It seemed that she was counting my questions as immaterial as well. Elegant turned and looked back to me, waiting silently. Oh, sorry to bother you. I left quickly and sensibly, the door shut behind me with a click. Well, that's that. Let's look at my room. I can search my room. What do I want to do? Do I have any cool things? Oh, I can read. Yeah, let's read a bit. A random page. The law in Apollyon is merciful. It shows leniency on those who have the sense to regret their actions by exempting their sentence or sending them into cloisters to be civilized. For those criminals who are unrepentant, the Helios Code has enough regulations to punish them to make sure they never commit a crime ever again. Thus, the vicious crimes of a more barbarous age have faded in Apollyon since the era of Helios I's wise rule. Without the sin of racial hatred, Apollyon shall become an ever-improving land of peace. Is that it? That's all we got? Yeah, let's go downstairs. Let's go back to the hall, see if there's anyone to... Yeah, exactly. Let's continue to chat in the lobby, see if anyone else wants to talk. Ah, it's nearly lunchtime. Go have lunch or chat some more. Let's have lunch. Smells like vegetable stew. I've got good news and bad news. The good news is that Kane decided to bust into my kitchen and, quote, show you idiots how actual vegetable stew is like. Thanks, Sarson. Luckily for you guys, he cooked the stew before I managed to hurl him out onto the street. Bad news is today's lunch is vegetable stew. Aww. Don't you have any fish? Sorry, you ate the last of it yesterday. Aww. Anyway, bon appetit. I stirred the stew with my spoon, and the thick soup swirled slowly in the bowl. Giannis was holding the bowl to his face and dumping the liquid into his open maw. That really can't be a healthy way to eat anything. Yeah, I mean, wouldn't you burn yourself? Whatever, Giannis. Kane ate his masterpiece contentedly without any hesitation while glancing at me secretly from time to time. I lowered my head immediately and had a few bites to eat, I guess. It's nice to relax by the fire in the afternoon. The snow was falling again outside, so Sarson needed to sweep the snowflakes which were blown from the doorway. Soft snow heaped on the street and muffled all sound, like when you block up your ears with soft cotton. Everything bad or unpleasant, from outside disputes to bad ideas, is muffled by the snow. The slightly sweet scent of fresh air, chilled by the winter cold, lingers in the nose. The wind, heavy with floating snow, tapped the wooden door, enough that a band of sunlight could shine through the gap across the wall. Suddenly, the door swung open. Ah! What is this? Oh, is this a fur dragon? I see why Sarson likes them so much. Ah, it's cold. Could I get something to warm me up? A fluffy white furred dragon staggered in, dragging a suitcase that was almost as big as he was and leaning on a cane. What's a child doing out in the snow like this? Well, hurry up, boy. Come in and have a rest. Don't call me boy. Would a child be carrying this? He produced a medical license from his pocket and brandished it up at Sarsen like a dagger. Sarsen frowned as he read it. I'm not going to say anything. Oh, my apologies, Master Doctor. Please forgive my rudeness. I'm still not going to say anything. Last thing I need is to freeze to death before I get back to my clinic. I'll just be waiting for the snow to calm down. Of course, please warm yourself by the fire. I'll carry your things. Sarsen tried to lift the suitcase, then let out a labored groan as he shifted it. What in God's name? So heavy. Okay, interesting background music. Dragon took off his thick and heavy coat, climbed into the chair opposite me, and reclined with a sigh of full contentment. Greetings, I am Thrivy, a physician by trade. He rose slightly and stretched out his right hand. I returned the handshake. Roman, it's a pleasure. Maybe I'll be your patient in the future. His lips convulsed slightly. I hope that day never comes. His hands were covered with soft white fur. Are they? They look gloved to me. From the palm to the back of his hands, the stray snowflakes which he brought from the outside were melting on his fur. He looked like he'd fit right in with some of Sarsen's paintings. Now then, where in the blazes am I? I never pass by here. The only reason I managed to spot this place was the lamp outside. It's the White Star Tavern. The White Dragon looked at me with confusion. The Villa District. The Villa District, my word, I hadn't expected to get quite so lost. He shrugged his shoulders and looked around. Just then, the door shook violently and gave the blizzard access to the inside of the room. The falling snowflakes flew up and down with the invading storm. At the same time, someone cursed loudly in the cellar. Mind your language, there's a child. Oh, F off, I'm not a child. The gale howled outside. If someone were to go out now, he'd be mad or suicidal. Normally, shutting the door was an easy task, but it became much harder than usual in this situation. The snow from the crack whirled across my nose and eyes. I shut the door with all my strength and found a chair to block it up. Phew! As I moved to sit back down, the door hinges creaked loudly as someone rattled the knob. No! What the? Oh, heck. There was a hyena lying there, wrapped tightly in a thin hooded robe. This is a tavern? Please. I humbly ask for shelter and a warm hearth. May I stay? He crawled to his feet in embarrassment, as I shrugged as an answer and pointed to the cellar, just as another crash echoed from within. I'm not the boss. I don't call the shots. Perhaps the owner will show kindness and not hurl me into the street. He took off the robe on the back of the chair, and he took off the robe and draped it over the back of the chair, then kicked back and leaned heavily. The partially suspended chair groaned under the pressure. Sorry to keep you waiting. Going so soon, Doctor. Sarsen stood in the doorway to the cellar with mugs of ale in his hands as Thrivy was getting up from the chair. I'm not feeling well and want a place to rest. Do you have any available rooms? How strange. Thrivy looked just fine seconds ago, but now he looks pale and weak. Let me think. I haven't cleaned the other rooms yet, otherwise I can offer the space they have in the attic. Thrivy walked to the stairs quickly, politely refusing the cup Sarsen offered. Thank you, but I'm a little queasy at the moment. My stomach's a bit too delicate for alcohol. Wimp. Well, no need to waste such fine ale. Sarsen stared in surprise as the hyena plucked the mug from his hand without any hesitation and intended to drink. Hold on, you're a friar, aren't you? Perhaps he's also a pretender like Eliant. Don't bother with such rigid rules. 'Tis far nobler not to waste the gifts granted by God. Well, this is true, waste not, want not, but also if you kind of have religious orders, or if you have sworn not to do something, then don't do it. But, well, how should I address you? Sarsen crossed out a whole line on the bill with his pencil and added a few words. Seems like you don't go to church on weekends, or you'd know my name. I would go, but seeing as I'm the only one working at this tavern, I don't have much chance. Excuse me. With a slight frown, Sarsen turned back and quickly retreated into the kitchen. I suppose he would stay there for a long time. Oh, I just remembered I have something important to do. What else is more important than rescuing your soul, my child? Come now, stay. Here's the thing. Actually, this is one of the things that I actually did not like about a lot of Christian-type religions. I find is that, like, the clergy or, like, the members of the church are really pushy. Did you find, like, have you noticed that? Like, they're really pushy, and that just doesn't push you into the church. That pushes you away. That makes you think these people are weird. That's just me. At the moment I touched the stair railing, the hyena had pinned my hand with a smile. The blink of the cross which swung on his chest was dazzling. Well, so much for escaping. What's your name? I believe I've never seen your face before in my church. Same thing. I'm not in this parish. That doesn't matter, even though we are from different parishes, all of us are in the same family. I'm Father Heron. Nice to meet you. I stretched out 3 fingers and gently shook his hand. I'm Roman. Nice to... He interrupted me before I could get a word in edgewise and began to make a speech without any pause, gesturing towards me excitedly. Tell me, child, do you know where you will go after death? I'm sure you never think about that. Actually, I think about that all the time. How to settle your audiences to sleep. Step 1, ask a question. Never answer it yourself. He let go of my hand, and I quickly climbed the stairs. Survey was standing in the corridor, staring blankly up at the ceiling. Surely there's some way to... Here, leave it to me. I went ahead and untied the knot step by step. The white dragon watched as I untied the strings from the wooden handle quietly beside me. Okay, I got it. Next step is just... let's release it slowly. I put the ropes down step by step. The ladder dropped slowly with a squeak from the pulleys. Finally, the ladder descended between us. Ah, so that's the trick. Thank you. It seems like you're familiar with this place. I am a regular customer, so I know a few things about this place. The white dragon caught hold of the handrail of the ladder and tried his best to climb up the very steep steps. The spacing of the ladder's rungs was suitable for someone of Sarzan's size, so it was a little large for him. What? I guess I went to my room. The nightstand was half opened. I moved quickly, opened the drawer, and began searching. My wallet was still there, as were my magnifying glasses and their fleece bag. The evidence case from the crime scene. I rummaged through sundries I'd stored in there, my hand dipping down into the drawer. Finally, my finger touched a cold, hard object buried deep among the linens. There it is. I tucked the case back down deep underneath my things and stuffed everything back in the drawer. I quietly cursed the lack of a lock. What? There is a lock. Didn't Sarzan give us the key last night? What? I'm confused. Sarzan must have thought nobody would bother to rob his guests. Imagine that. What? No, he gave us a lock. A key. What? If there's a key, there must be a lock. What do you mean? Nothing was lost. See, there's even a little keyhole. But I know I didn't leave my drawer open. Think, who had access to my room after lunch? Only 2 can be excluded. Who didn't have access or the chance to enter my room after lunch? Must have been Sarzan and Heron. Sarzan managed everything all the time from downstairs, so he didn't have time to go upstairs until now. Excluded. Heron, he chattered without a stop in front of me since he got here. He may have made a bad impression, but it wasn't him. As for everyone else, I'll need to investigate. I locked the door and went downstairs. Well, what else would you like to order? That's enough. Thank you for the warm hospitality, good sir. The lynx food just came in, swept off his thick coat, and casually dropped it into Heron's arms as he walked past. Oof, rude. What are you doing, child? I'm not a coat rack. Sarzan took the coat from Heron's hands and quickly hung it from the progressively more overburdened coat rack. Heron let out an offended huff and walked over to the fireplace and sat down, the fur on his back raised and hackled. The lynx walked towards me as he adjusted his collar, meeting me at the bottom of the stairs. And I think this is a really good time for us to pause, and we'll learn about this link next time. Thanks, everybody, for listening and watching and having fun with me. See you all again next time. Bye-bye!